Mr. President, if I may continue the American topic. You mentioned the attempts to kick Russia out of the world system. I would add, out of the world markets. In recent weeks, calls from Washington to China, India, and other countries, and there is pressure for these countries to abandon the purchase of Russian raw materials and energy resources. At the same time, you also talked about the importance of unification, not separation of efforts, including the experience of interaction between Russia and the United States and the need to restore full-scale relations. The need to restore full-scale relations between our two countries, Russia and the United States. This week, to the surprise of many analysts and observers who do not engage in nuclear energy, on a daily basis, statistics were published, according to which Russia remains the largest supplier of enriched uranium for nuclear fuel to the United States. Given the current format and the level of bilateral Russian-American relations in the political sphere, how do you assess the prospects of interaction between Russia and the United States in this area, in the supply of enriched uranium and in nuclear energy as a whole? Thank you.
Yes, of course, I will speak about the possible tariff restrictions on trade between the United States and our trading partners, with China, India, and some other countries. We know that there are advisors in the administration who believe that this is the right economic policy. There are advisors in the administration who believe that this is the right economic policy. There are experts in the United States who doubt, and many of us doubt, that this will bring a good result. What is the problem? And it certainly is. Let's say some increased tariffs will be imposed on the goods of those countries with which Russia trades in energy, oil, gas, and so on. What will this lead to? This will lead to the fact that there will be fewer goods, let's say Chinese goods, and then prices for these goods will rise in the U.S. market. Or these Chinese goods will come through third and fourth countries, and then prices will also rise because there will be a deficit and logistics will be more expensive. And if this happens, prices will rise, and then the Federal Reserve will have to keep a high rate or raise the rate to contain inflation, and then this will lead to a slowdown in the U.S. economy. There is no policy here. It is purely an economic calculation, and many of our experts believe that this will be the case. The same applies to India and the goods produced in India. It is all the same, there is no difference. But what about Chinese goods? That is, it is not very obvious for the United States to win, for those countries in which this threat was formulated. Let's take India, for example. If India abandons our energy sources, it will cause a certain damage, and it is calculated in different ways. Some say that it will cost up to $9 to $10 billion. If it abandons. And if it does not abandon, then sanctions will be imposed in the form of high taxes. And there will also be damage. What will it be like? The same. So why should we refuse if we have to bear huge internal political costs? Because, of course, the people of a country like India will carefully, believe me, follow the political decision-making. And they will never allow any humiliation to anyone. And then, as I know, Prime Minister Modi will never take any such steps himself. Therefore, there is no economic sense. As for, let's say, uranium, what is it? Uranium, in this case, is fuel. It is also an energy resource for nuclear power plants. In this sense, it is no different from oil, gas, fuel oil, or coal, because it is also an energy source that provides electricity. But what is the difference? There is no difference. And the United States does indeed buy uranium. You asked why the United States is buying it, but others seem to be trying to ban our energy sources. Well, the answer is simple and given to us in the Latin era. Everyone knows the phrase, "What is allowed to Jupiter is not allowed to a bull." This is what it means. But neither China nor India, even if it means that cows in India are sacred animals, do not want to be bulls. There are such political figures, first of all in Europe, who are ready to be a bull, a goat, a ram. There are such people. Let's not point fingers. But this is definitely not about China, not about India, not about other large states and medium-sized small states. It is not about those who respect themselves and do not allow themselves to be humiliated. As for the uranium trade, yes, this trade continues. The United States is one of the largest, if not the largest, state in terms of energy generation by means of nuclear power plants. I do not remember how many there are, about 54 power plants and about 90 units. But in general, in the overall energy structure, it is 18.7%, in my opinion, that is given by nuclear energy. We produce less, we have fewer units, but in our energy structure, it is about the same, 18.5%. But since nuclear energy is well developed, in the United States, it certainly requires a large amount of fuel. We are not the largest supplier. You said that we are the largest. This is not true. The largest supplier is, I do not remember what it is called, the American European Company. It supplies about 60% of uranium nuclear fuel to the American market. But Russia is the second largest supplier of uranium to the American market. We supply about 25%. Last year, I do not remember in absolute terms, even in percent, but I remember how much we earned. It was about $800 million, $750 million, $760 million. Over the first 6 months of this year, we sold more than 800 million of uranium to the United States. And I think that according to the results of this year, 2025, it will be over $1 billion. This is $1.2 billion. But we can roughly imagine, according to the incoming applications, how much it will be next year. But now we are already looking at somewhere over $800 billion. Therefore, this work continues. Why? Because it is profitable. The Americans buy our uranium because it is profitable, and they are doing the right thing. We are ready to continue these supplies stably and reliably.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to Mirror Now.